Yeah, because, and that was also a production where you had that male protagonist. He was more disoriented, I guess, in that Kafkaesque way by the world. In terms of the experience of performance, was it the liveness, like the embodied kind of experience that attracted you, or was it, because you were always very interested, I remember, in the technical and in the film making and gadgets and making, you know.
I actually wonder now if that wasn't partly a safety mechanism for me personally.
Right.
That, yeah, I'm playing around in the theatre and this stuff that's kind of not socially valued, but I'm a media intermedial designer. Was that the title we came up with?
That's right. That's one of them.
Like that, right? So, yeah, if we're using technology and I'm really doing the film and the technical stuff, that's still kind of practical man stuff.
Yeah.
Proper to be doing, not prancing around in tights or
Yeah.
maybe.
And for me, I think the technology, I always thought, oh, that's nothing to do with me. That's not something I could understand, or it's not something that I would be interested in. Whereas it's, you know, over the years and being involved in the process has actually made me much more interested in it. Made me realise that that was something that I could be creatively involved in. Working with film as well.
And the other kind of the main free theatre influences that I really was attracted to was Meyerhold, which kind of makes the bodies into machines in a way. It's again that control or something. So it's also a way of, I don't know, through the rehearsal process or a training process or whatever, of taking some of the vulnerability out of it, making it something external, not, I don't know.
And then Last Days of Mankind, working with this idea of the military and the body as machine. And did you were the one that created that video gaming thing and that, weren't you?
Yeah, we actually
humans becoming these,
learned stage combat techniques and then created a little console where the audience members, and this was just played on the street, audience members could come up and press buttons, and the two actors were standing face to face and had little lights above our heads that would tell us which were, so we became the Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat characters.
Yeah, and that was 20 years ago, which is amazing. And I'm thinking, like, what is the equivalent now in terms of what, you know, the technology that you were playing with then?
That's actually a really, I was thinking of a kind of list of productions that we did with a lot of technology. I think that first one, that Last Days, is a really good example and principle of how the technology was, I don't know, showing the human became a part of the machine or something. So it was kind of illustrating that dehumanizing effect, really quite literally, wasn't it?
Yeah. And so Dr. Faustus, so we explored this idea of Faustus being seduced by technology, and that led to his destruction. And it was the devil that seduced him. And I feel like this is a thread in a few productions we did after that as well, this idea of men being seduced into this world of technology and being destroyed by it.
Yeah.
How does that parallel? How do you think about that now? Is that something that, I mean, are we destroying this beautiful world with technology? And are we able to, I don't know, how do you think we explored that in the theatre, that idea? Because you were the person kind of narrating his downfall in a way, weren't you? And you were creating the film effects that led to his destruction. And I was playing the devil, helping you along with that task of seducing Faustus.
But we kind of went chronologically in a way, in terms of the technology, progressing from, it actually went through historical styles of theatre.
Shadow play and then medieval.
Yep, and then getting into kind of what often I think wrongly gets lumped as the like pre-filmic inventions, that, you know, in that lineage towards film ultimately, of the magic lantern and the phenakistoscope and the zoetrope and all those kind of gadgets. We played with all of them and then getting into kind of the full digital. I still think, I don't know if it's relevant to the conversation, I think those, like the zoetrope phenakistoscope was actually what always attracted me more than anything else. Those things where you can see the moving parts, and I still feel and believe, and having kids now, like something like a flip book is far more magical and astonishing to them than Skyping my parents on the other side of the world. They find something like a flip book is actually far more astonishing and engaging and magical, because you can see the still images and then you see they come to life and you know it's a trick, but that actually makes it more exciting than something like a computer, which is so mystifying. I think that you just accept it for what it is.
So maybe technology for a younger generation is losing its magic in a way.
I think so.
That really high-end technology, and people are going back to the pleasure and more simpler forms of machines. Actually, we looked a bit at that in our Era 1 work, that idea of machines being something that people are trying to escape from in some communities.
The social media environment today and whatever, which has unleashed, the devils in a way. I don't know, you said, are we destroying the world? I don't know, but certainly destroying ourselves. So many people at the moment talking about that Social Dilemma documentary, and this idea of how it literally means we're all in our own bubbles of knowledge and information and conversations and stuff through social media, so we lose the ability to communicate. Like literally we lose the ability to commune.
And so that idea of social was actually an incredibly isolating experience and alienating. And the internet technology we used right at the end of that, Dr. Faustus, I remember, was this internet video. I think you made it, but it was based on ones that we found at the time. So this is 10 years ago, but it was that kind of, there was all these conspiracies going around about Obama, Osama Obama, but look closely. And at the time it was a bit of a joke, and we couldn't believe that there might have been 10 people somewhere in the world that believed that and put this little video together, and it's like, and it's that font going side from side, and it's just terrible. These fantasies that are created using digital film, but the way that 10 years later it's, half the population of America voted for someone who does believe that, or who would make similar claims that are just utter fantasy. And that technology and social media have enabled that is just, I don't think we would have thought that was possible 10 years ago. We would have laughed at the idea, but we're not laughing anymore, and it's,
How do you recover from this, or go backwards or go forward in a, you know what I mean?
And how do you make theatre about that as well? I mean, I guess for me, I want to keep making performance that engages with those ideas as something to oppose them, or as a way to get out of those terrifying fantasies that have become reality for so many people. I still feel that theatre has a role to play, that we can still do that.
But I feel like in Kafkas America, I feel like because there were really serious issues around government spying on citizens and all of the, the GCSB, Five Eyes network stuff, that oddly here no one seemed too bothered by. Or that sort of
in
attitude,
New Zealand.
Like, I've got nothing to hide. I don't really care if there's, spying on us or whatever. And so we were trying to give people just a little palpable sense or experience of invasion of privacy, right?
And what is publicly available that is revealed about yourself, that's already everywhere on the internet.
So that idea that when people booked their tickets through our systems, we asked them a few bits of info, their name and date of birth and whatever they were willing to kind of hand over through the booking system. And then Jasper had sort of designed this algorithm that just mined the internet automatically and pulled out, found their Facebook profiles and pulled information about them and images and things like that then got displayed only the night that they came along to the show. So it was literally like the show or the media content was personalized for whoever was in the audience at that time, with this hypothesis anyway that maybe that would make people care about this
and
invasion of privacy.
But we did it in a very light-hearted musical theatre kind of way, which also disturbed them. Yeah. But that's interesting what you said about I Sing the Body Electric, because for me, I think what I enjoyed about that project, for you were very focused on the technology and the creation of that.
Yeah.
As you say, that was your world at that time.
That's right.
Your head was deep into that stuff.
You
Whereas
actors
I was
annoyed me. You were so imperfect.
God damn it.
I think I was ready to work with the robots at that
Yeah. It's easier. The fantasy is always better in your head, isn't it?
point. Yep.
But just this idea of playing this absolutely generic female, a cliche of a male fantasy, for me, and examining that and how it's connected to technology, and that idea of being, that these fantasies, I guess in the way that you grow up thinking that they're just natural and that's just the way things are, and then to see them critically, but also to feel and understand the power of those fantasies. For me, it was a very seductive experience, because on the one hand, you're aware of the power that these male fantasies have. On the other hand, you're aware of them as constructions, allows you to, in that way, reject them or be critical of them. So for me, I loved that production. It was a quite...
For your own sort of journey as an actor, or for
I thought
how audiences engaged?
I mean, I can only experience it as a performer, but for me, we did, I think, create an immersive, seductive experience for an audience, was my feeling. Yeah. But also put them in the position where they were identifying with the male and experiencing it, very aware that it was a male fantasy, which I guess can make them reject that.
Unlike maybe Hollywood, where you're still identifying with the male fantasy, but there's not the awareness.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Weird tension at the moment, where there's kind of this, I think, hunger for and increased need and appetite for that social face-to-face interaction, and simultaneously people have discovered, I can conduct business from my living room and just do Zoom calls instead of having an office space, and we can all work from home a bit more. And it'll be interesting to see over the next 10 years how that kind of lands. I'm seeing a desire or recent experience that kind of proves both things. We need more face-to-face contact. We can do without face-to-face contact.
Yeah, I think for me, being able to be in a room with other people, which is essentially what I always look forward to when working in the theatre, it's coming together in your bodies and in your minds, and actually creating something and playing, as you say, in really simple ways that don't have outcomes that are obvious in terms of, some sort of commercial outcome, or that actually the ability to play is very important. And that's what I think attracted both of us initially to the theatre as well.
Have you ever done theatre purely online with no live audience? Have you done any of these, or watched, like over COVID, when the ballet did a live stream online thing?
Yeah,
did
and
you watch
overwhelmingly
any of those?
talking to people who tried that as well, it was a disappointing experience. There's something missing from that experience, and I feel strongly it's not a replacement. Definitely, I think people.
So in the way we thought about technology or engaged in technology, it was still, the face-to-face interaction was still a requirement, or it was always in the service of that. I think maybe in my own mind I sing the body electric. That was the furthest I got into let's get rid of the actors and get rid of the audience. And,
well, you don't need.
But
yeah.
I came back from that quite quickly. But this idea that, yeah, the technology was always in support of, or even further justifying that need for the face-to-face interaction.
Yeah. I mean, in a way, our bodies destroyed those fantasies, but in a way that was important, because I think those fantasies need to die. Yeah, and they're killing us anyway, so we need to find something different and something new. Well, thank you, Ryan, for wandering around with me.
Pleasure.